Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and today we are going to be talking about potential free agents from AEW that are going to WWE. There's been a lot of names connected, and I kind of figured we'd talk about a few of them and see, maybe what's the gauge on what we would want to see and what we don't want to see. Obviously, S tier being the best, D being like probably either stay put or just probably WWE is not the fit. So let's jump into it. So the big one that a lot of people have been talking about is Adam Copeland or Edge. I really do think if WWE really wanted him back, they would have tried to get him during the John Cena run. I feel like I don't see them saying no if he didn't want to spend any more time in AEW, but I do believe this is a spot that he really will thrive in with Christian being there. I think it's a nice way to finish off his career. And if he wanted some type of send off match in WWE, that would be the thing to come back to. I mean, his last WWE match is against Sheamus, who was the only time he's ever faced him. But I feel like there's other stuff that could be possibly said there that like that's his last match. I don't think it's a bad match to have, and I think overall, I don't think you'd be too upset. So I could see this being a thing. I wanted to put Keith Lee up here. I just saw him down here all of a sudden, but I think Edge I'd put down in D. I don't think there's really much of a look that we need him back. Next up is Danhausen. They've really connected this a lot, especially with CM Punk being part of the roster and being kind of just like a champion right now is kind of a big deal. They're both really good friends. I think overall it's just kind of one of those characters that I think works really good in AEW. I'm not 100% sure if it works in WWE because being kind of the supernatural comedy type thing can be, really good. But I also feel like if people don't get it or people don't really connect with it, he's going to struggle. And I think that if they let him go kind of similar to like having a lot of time um, with like maybe CM Punk and stuff like that, we could honestly see a lot of different stuff happening. But I think overall, I maybe put him in the middle. I feel like it could be an interesting run. We will at least get to see him more than we see him in AEW, but I just don't think it's going to be a big thing. Like if he comes in there, I don't know if it works in WWE. I really don't. Next up is Chris Jericho. Honestly, I'm 50-50 on this because I think Jericho, if he's retiring, would be a cool run to have it. I don't think he necessarily is needed. I think like obviously having somebody who's on the older side is there's a little bit of like maybe help that he can like give the rub to somebody next, but I don't really see there being anything that like we could really explore. I think obviously like having Kevin Owens coming back would be the greatest thing for him to be able to like feud with and stuff like that, but we don't know the timetable if even Kevin Owens is ever going to wrestle again. And a couple of his other rivalries and stuff that like in his later it is time, it's just I don't know if that's worth exploring for the time that they have. Like I don't know who retires him. I don't really know what he does in between. I'm not like definitely opposed to it because I like Jericho back in the day, and so I would like to see him have one more run. I just don't know if this is the year to do it, and if there's anything that even comes from it. So I'll put it in A. I mean, I think it's not going to be the best, but I don't think it's going to be the worst. Next up is Anna Jay. This one's an interesting person because like I feel like the way that she's progressed in the ring over the last year, that she's gone leaps and bounds, and with the tag division being a thing now in AEW, she's in that prime spot of like possibly winning the women's tag team championships at some point. And I feel like that's kind of a big deal for her to be with that and do that type of stuff. So it kind of feels kind of crazy that she is even like rumored to be leaving. I guess I would be. I mean, like I'd be fine with it. I like her, so like I just don't know if it's necessarily something. And she comes over, especially with getting thrown down in like NXT right off the bat. I don't know where this like the space is for her, so I'm gonna put her in B. I would not be opposed. I would not be upset about the signing, but I just don't see the vision as much on her compared to other people. Now we get to Britt Baker. Now this is the person that I can see the vision for. Like honestly, I feel like Britt Baker is a pretty solid wrestler, pretty solid on the mic. A lot of people don't like her. Seems like she's had a lot of issues in AEW, maybe fresh scenery could happen and change stuff. I think her going to NXT, I think would absolutely be a firecracker for the entire women's division down there. That like it works very well for how the roster is set right now. Like I feel like if she can get that job done or like get down there within like the next month, I think that would really put her in like a prime position to be a major player down there and probably be even on the main roster by next year if that's what they're planning on doing. So I honestly think I'd put her in S tier. Next up is Samoa Joe. A lot of people have been talking about that he'd come back for a final title run or not title run like retirement run. I could see it with AJ Styles being here and like having their matches in TNA, and even with the TNA partnership that Samoa Joe could go over to TNA through all of this. I think it's a no brainer. If it's a possibility, I think they would do it. I think it's one of those things like if AEW had the opportunity, I think they'd let Samoa Joe do this type of stuff because it's just honestly, if that's the end of his career, that this is the way that he would want to do it, and I think it's just a no-brainer. So S tier for Samoa Joe. Then we got Isaiah Kennedy, one half of Private Party. Honestly, just putting it as a tag team in general, they seem like they're on the way out. They haven't been used in a while. They're a solid tag team. I think they could really do some crazy stuff. Especially if they put them in NXT, they should be tag team champs like right off the bat. I don't think there should even be much to say about that. They should make their debut, win a number one contenders match, and be tag team champs right after that. That is just, it's lightning in the bottle. They were really over in AEW. They never pulled like a full like trigger on them. I think they ended up winning the titles, but I don't think it was even really that great of a run because they didn't give them that time to do it. This should be a WWE signing, so I'm putting it up in S tier. I've heard Keith Lee for a long time. Honestly, I've heard these talks for it feels like 2+ years now. I'd be 100% with it. I think putting him down on SmackDown, his wife's on SmackDown, they could really have him do some crazy stuff because he'd be a perfect person to go out there and do those U.S. Open challenges and kind of be somebody that they could use as a babyface or a heel. Like, there's a lot of good stuff that would mean that he could be a good player in there. So I'm putting it in A tier. I don't think it's going to happen, though, because I don't think it would have happened by now. And yeah, that is the majority of the stars that everybody's talked about changing. I feel like honestly, other than Edge, the other seven really can just it's just like an injection of new talent sometimes is always a good thing. I think any of those, if they get one or two of those easily in the next year, I think would be a great thing for them. Obviously, you kind of want to, as being like a company in general, you want to have the best talent out there, and if you can poach some talent from the opposite people, you're going to try to do it. And honestly, I think if they could get like one or two of these guys, I think it honestly would be really good for them. But until next time, this has been Japan. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye, guys.